but I think like you just sharing your story and seeing you share that, I think it was commendable and such a story that I'm sure, even though there were women who probably didn't understand it or who couldn't get it, there were so many women I'm sure you impacted by sharing it, because I was like, wow, now that is forgiveness. You understand? But I think what I loved most about it was that we as women don't always want to be take accountability for our part that we play. And you did that. You were able to acknowledge that maybe I wasn't being the best wife. Maybe I wasn't, and I think women don't when you take accountability in your marriage, I think a lot of times women get thrown off by the fact, like, what are you saying sorry for? What are you, because we know what he's doing might seem like, but he's your husband. Why would he do that? Yes, right. We get it. That might seem like crazy, but understanding that I have a job, I have a role, and my job as a wife is to do certain things. And if I don't fulfill those things or vice versa, as a husband, there are going to be challenges that are going to come from not fulfilling my job.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that. I'm sorry, y'all, there's a fly in here. I want to talk about that because before I put my testimony out, I had made a video that was talking about, my accountability. And because of the way that I put out the videos, people assumed that, like, oh, the second time around when we separated and he was with someone else, they were basically trying to say I was blaming myself, or like it was a weird thing. And I'm like, wait a minute. This accountability piece happened before infidelity.
Yeah.
This 18 when we first separated, and I realized, God was showing me, like, hey, here's where you fell short. Because I was so focused on, like most women, we get into marriage and it's always like, okay, what can he do for me? And I think that's how we're taught growing up, that marriage it's only caters to the women, which is why there's a lot of men talking about, well, it doesn't benefit us, it benefits the women. And so my mind, I'm like, I'm a great wife. I'm want to have sex, we doing that, like I'm cooking, I'm doing all these things. But God was like, but you didn't submit, and you was walking in fear, and you didn't, all these different things. And I'm like, wow, I had no idea. God was recognizing his sacrifices. So I had to apologize to my husband, like you said, that it triggers women. And I don't understand why. We got to hold ourselves accountable. I don't understand. We are not perfect. We're not above reproach. Like, men can mess up, so can you. And let's be, you know what? And I want to say this, and I'm gonna let you talk. I was watching a podcast where this marriage therapist was on, and the podcast couple was asking the therapist, do you think there's such thing as over communicating? And the therapist said, well, I read a study that said there's only 1% to 2% of the world that knows how to communicate well. I mean, the rest of them don't know how. So even if you think you're a great communicator and ain't nothing wrong with you, you don't know how to communicate. So I was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Yeah. No, it's